Welcome to the Region Free Gamers podcast. And on this episode, Arnie and Geoff tell us what they've been playing. Wait, is that Polybits?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Region Free Gamers, the podcast fluent in gaming. I will be your Captain Stubing on this love boat of an episode, Anthony Arriaga. Surprise! But before we set sail, I want to thank everyone for listening. Seriously, our audience, it just wouldn't grow without your support. Those ratings on iTunes help us a great deal in getting more visibility. So if you haven't done so, please grab that subscription button. Tell it you'll never let it go. And then drown us in ratings and positive energy and reviews, because that's what keeps us going. And Arnie, I know you said this one time, but even if you don't like our podcast, what should people do? If you hate our podcast, what should you do?
You gotta do it. You gotta go up there and you gotta let us know.
And recommend us to your worst enemies.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you definitely need to do that. Anybody you hate,
everybody
put
you
us
hate,
in their
tell
earballs.
them to listen to this podcast. I thought that was the best, enemy conversation ever.
You gotta do it, man. You gotta do it.
And don't forget, guys, we have the website up, regionfreegamers.com. Definitely visit the website. We have companion pieces to the podcast that we are putting up as we go along. We have articles up. I know Geoff has an article up. I have an article up. So definitely take a trip down to the interwebs and check us out. And without further ado, let's introduce the panel.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, let's start in the far west. No, the east. You're east, right, Geoff? You're east from us.
Yeah, it depends which way you're looking.
You know what? If I'm facing Florida, then you're west, so we're good. Right. But anyway, as I was saying, the ginger to our spice, Mr. Geoff Ivets.
What up, what up?
And let's circle back around the man who just can't get away from an island, whether it's Puerto Rico or the island of Rhodes.
That's right.
Our man, Arnando Perez.
What up, what up? I will say, this is a very exciting episode because, as you've already heard, Anthony, a.k.a. Polybits, new permanent host of Region Free Gamers podcast, so I'm very excited about that. I'll have Paul insert some sort of applause sound, maybe like a single clap or something.
Oh, good, because I was worried that if we clapped right now, we were going to mess up the whole audio. Also, I think the only reason I'm even on this podcast now is because Paul didn't want to be the oldest one. So way to go, ringer. Paul. Way to go.
I know you recently had a birthday, so happy birthday.
Oh, thanks,
happy birthday, man.
You. Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, man, this week has been... Yeah, it was... my birthday fell on a Monday, which normally, that's not good. But I found out, the bad part of having a birthday on a Monday is that, Monday was pretty low-key.
Yeah.
Right? I hit up an open mic. I had a good time. Me and my girl just had, a beer, and then we went home,
Yeah.
But then Tuesday, everybody's like, yo, your birthday, let me take you out for some drinks, So Tuesday, bam, we go out.
Some drinks.
Right. We go out for a few drinks or whatever, have a good time. Okay. Wednesday, my other boy hits me up. Yo, let's go out for some drinks. I'm like, okay. Thursday.
Never turn down a free drink.
Yo, listen, man, I got rules. Rules. You never leave a beer behind, and you love unconditionally,
That's right.
That was So Thursday, another guys, one of my other friends was like, yo, let's go have a drink. Yo, my liver is just, it's just bad, man. By Friday, my man was like, yo, let's go out for some shots. And I'm like, all right, cool. But I'm busy, I take a needle out. I'm taking blood samples because I'm trying to see who matches up with me for a liver, man.
You got to roll up with this saline bag IV to your...
For real. Gotta be
the other thing I wanted to say is that I, for the first time, am on the ones and twos, as they say. I am sort of the recording master since Paul and Ozzy are not here. So there is a non-zero chance something terrible is going to happen and nobody will ever hear this show anyway. So don't worry about it, because we might have to introduce you some other way.
Yo, for real. I might be on another episode now.
It's you posted this episode, but it's all a bunch of sheep bleating noises. It was very strange.
The only thing I could hear was a cat meowing for some reason.
It's a very performance art podcast that we got going on.
after every segment, we just snapped our fingers to a clap. Man, but this is good. This is cool because like we chat a lot during the week, you know, and we're all on different schedules and whatnot. So it's finally good to hear voices.
I know.
It's good to hear your voices. So what you been up to, Geoff? How's your week been, man?
Yeah, probably the same as the week before and the week before that. It's just work, man. No, I've had a good summer. I've had a lot of travel. I was in London last weekend.
Nice.
I went and visited my brother and my dad. My mum was in Spain on a break herself, so it's a bit of like a lads weekend.
Yeah.
And I went and saw Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, when they do it with a live orchestra.
Oh,
how was that?
Oh, it's incredible.
I just got the chills when you said that.
That's awesome.
I'm sure you guys
something
get it
like
over
that.
there, but...
I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, man. I was just saying, I'm sure you guys get it over in New York. It's probably that's where all that stuff happens. But yeah.
No, I was actually going to say, like, over the summer, I was supposed to go to that. They had one over here somewhere in New York. Yeah, and I was like, my girlfriend had mentioned it to me. She was like, yeah, they're going to play this. She goes, no. The way she phrased it to me was, oh, there's going to be this orchestra thing in the park. I'm sure you'll like it. And I'm like, and, I'm trying to be good about it. Like, yeah, whatever you want to do, right? And then she goes, but so they're going to be playing live Star Wars music as the movie's playing along. I had packed up my bag. I said, when do we leave? Let's go. But we wound up not catching it. But that's cool that you caught it, though. That's so awesome, man.
Yeah, and it was in a place called the Royal Albert Hall, which is it's a big hall and it's very royal. So
so the name is appropriate.
The name's very appropriate. It's where they do a lot of BBC do a lot of proms music there. A lot of bands play, but it's really is set up for live music. So it was a bit like it's cylindrical. So the sound is bouncing all around. So the orchestra sounds incredible, but then the actual special effects and the like Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, when they're talking, it feels like they're talking like whispering behind you,
Oh, wow.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's like it's a bit disorientating, but having the live orchestra, it was like perfect, as if you're in the cinema, but it's even more impressive, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it wouldn't have worked well with maybe a different movie, but who doesn't know Empire Strikes Back front to back at this point, That's that's going to the show. Yeah. I will say, I'm enjoying this like trend. I don't know if it's happening other places, but I know in the US it's happening of theaters sort of bringing back old films to show in the theater again as like a, week special or something like that. I know they've done like, I remember when I was back in Virginia, they did The Godfather, they did the Back to the Future movies. They're doing a run now of Ghibli films.
Cool.
I really like that because I think there's being in a theater to watch a movie is just such a unique experience from like watching it at home, no matter how awesome your setup is. So I've always really enjoyed that aspect of it, like the idea that you can go back and sort of relive that experience, quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of cinemas now, they're doing like, if you want to watch all of the Matrix back to back, or all Jurassic Park, or Back to the Future. I mean, I think that in general, over in Europe, I know especially in the UK, cinema is getting more and more expensive to go to.
Yeah.
It's probably when I was, of course everything when we were younger, it was cheaper, but going to the cinema never used to be, I can't afford it. It's just a case of it's just a case of what's on, and you go, okay, it was £3 or £4, and you don't care if it's crap because it's £3. Now I'm spending here like $15, and I'm like, it's got to have to be a good movie. It's going to have to be a movie that I really want to see.
Yeah. But I think this is why a lot of people leave angrier reviews of movies now. Because if I spent $4 and I saw a movie and it wasn't great, I'm like, it was a way to kill an hour and a half.
Right.
But now it's like, fuck, I just spent like $25 to go watch this goddamn movie. It sucks.
Here in New York, it's getting harder and harder to sneak into other movies. So I feel the pain. Like, yo, every time we found this new movie theater. It's not a new movie theater, but they just kind of renovated here in Yonkers, right? And we stumbled upon it, and we were like, "Oh, this is cool. This is nice." They got a bar there. The bar, like, they serve drinks that are like even cheaper if you went to an actual bar. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's been times I tell everybody, like, "Yo, let's just go to the bar in the movie theater. Let's just hang out there." You know?
Yeah.
So then we go to the movies, but now, like, they don't even tell you what movie's playing. They don't have the sign to tell you. You just on the ticket. I'm like, damn, they're getting smart, man. No matter how old you get, there's nothing better than sneaking into a movie.
Oh yeah. But now the thing is, like, I think what Geoff was saying is very true. You know, going to the movies, like, I don't know about you guys, but like me and my friends would go to the mall every weekend. And going to the movies was just like a thing you did when you were tired of sitting at Borders, like reading books, you know, like
you're a better man than me.
Or when you had already been to Hot Topic and Spencer's like 3 times. And so it was just like, oh, let's just go to the movies. But now it's like a production because now it's an investment. So you got to be like, which movie am I watching? What's the best time? Like, can we get good seats? What theater am I going to? Because now some theaters have like recliners and stuff.
Oh, that's
and so now it's like it's this whole thing. Like it's stressful to plan to go see a movie now.
I will tell you though, like Geoff, is this the same thing by you? Like all the movie theaters are now like they have the reserved seating.
Oh yeah.
So to me, that takes away so much stress because back in the day, you'd have to like get to the theater, right? It was like catching a flight. You have to get there like 3 hours early, stand on that line. And then you were just like looking, like you were angry the whole time you were online because you knew that somebody behind you was going to try to jump in front of you once they let everybody go. Once it was like the running of the bulls, man, everybody's running into that theater. So that's definitely taken a lot of the stress because you just you know what time to get there. You're chilling. You know you got like 15 minutes, even if you're running late with trailers. So you're good, you know?
Yeah.
So I must say as well, like, I really love going to the cinema in Holland. First of all, they put the movies with subtitles, so they don't change the audio. Whereas France, Germany, Spain, and Italy, they just dub everything.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that. Also, in a lot of the like, traditional theaters, cinemas, if a movie is I think it's 2.5 hours long or longer, they do intermissions. Mm-hmm. So you've got you get like a 10-minute break, and you can just go stock up on beers. And
man, that is so useful.
Yeah, so you don't get anyone coming around like trying to sell you stuff, but you have to go back into the foyer. In Holland, it's really like the only beer you can normally buy is a Grolsch. I don't know if you know Grolsch.
I've heard of it, yeah. But
it's a very Dutch beer, but it's got one of those pop-off bottle tops where you have to.
Oh yeah, like a twist off.
No. So it's basically like a lever that you push, and it pops off the top of the bottle. I'll send you guys a photo later.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a GIF of this, please.
So basically, as soon as the movie starts, everyone in the audience pops off their beer, and you hear pop, 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 pop in the cinema. It's great.
But that's good. Like, I'm glad they didn't change the audio because, like, you want to hear Harrison Ford's voice the way it used to be, because before he started becoming like
No, give me Italian Harrison Ford, please. I want that guy.
I was gonna try to do it, but then it would just sound like Mario, you know?
Yeah, don't.
No, I'm not.
Don't get us canceled before you even had a chance to be on the show.
I don't want to disrupt our flow in Germany either. You know,
that's right. It's very important.
Keep that going. So Arnie, what's good with you, man? What you been up to?
Are you asking me what I've been playing or just what I've been up to?
What you been up to? We'll get to that.
Oh, I mean, you know, basically, they're one and the same, really. I've just been hanging out, doing a bunch of Instagram shit mostly. But no, I mean, it's interesting. I haven't really done a lot recently, like that's exciting. But I don't think I ever got a chance to talk about when we went to the Long Island Retro Game Expo. That was like the last big thing I got to do.
Oh yeah, man, that was good.
I guess I did go to South Korea. That was a thing.
Oh yeah, it was that little bit. Yeah, Arnie was like Carmen San Diego for like 2 weeks, man.
Oh my god, it was hell on my body because I took the bus to New York because that was a brilliant idea. I don't know why I thought that wouldn't end poorly. But no, it was crazy because it'd been so long since I've been to a game expo, you know. Right. So it's the weirdest thing, man. Like I sort of swore off them because I spend money at them, and like I if I go to too many, that's not good. But there's just something about that environment. Like as soon as you walk through the doors and you see games everywhere and just people around you like talking about games and buying games and deals happening and stuff like that, there's an energy to that that's really addicting for me. Like I just like the idea that I'm around like-minded people for once in my life.
No, that was so cool. 'Cause actually, that was the first Expo I had gone to, and you saw how quickly I knocked off the list of games I had on my. Yo, Geoff, we walked in there.
That's the first mistake you made, was having a list.
Oh man, it was more of a mental list. You know, I didn't want to put it on paper because I'd have to commit to it. We were there for like 2 minutes. I was like, how much is that? Oh, great. Let me get that. And that was
Let me get one of those, please.
The floodgates were opened. But it was so much. Yeah, you're right, though, man. It was so much fun. Even if you went upstairs, man, just going back to the roots, like they had all the old arcade machines. Yeah. Just right there for you to play.
Yeah. They had a little console station that, they had like Apple IIs and stuff set up for you to play. Like it was crazy. But it's also nice just seeing in my case, I'm fairly young, but seeing people younger than me going to these things and like getting into it and playing things that, they couldn't have, I don't know if they grew up with it, but it definitely was like they were born after these things came out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just seeing like them with their, friends or their parents or something, just learning about it. It's really cool to see that, it is getting passed on, that these things are still appealing to younger people per se.
Yeah, it definitely struck a nerve with me because I know back in the day, me and my boys would go to Queens, right? Mm-hmm. Right off on Main Street there, they had all these little game shops, you know, like mom and pop spots. But they were like the best ones. That's where you would like trade in games, buy used games, and then they had like the arcades around the area. So to me, this was so reminiscent of just going up to the counters and just seeing like something used, like a Saturn game before it was like crazy expensive,
Yeah. No, man. And it's like one of the weirdest things for me is that, I am the youngest person on the podcast, so it's always interesting to get your guys' perspective on this. But when I was growing up back in Puerto Rico, like these things were not a thing. Like Comic-Con was a thing. Right. But these like tiny little conventions that are so specific to video games and stuff like that was not a thing, at least that I was aware of. And so, I remember being in, first, second year of college and hearing about, they're going to have a comic convention here. And that was the comic convention, quote-unquote, was you roll up to a high school gymnasium or a basketball court, and there's, 20 tables and, 2 TVs set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was, but it was so... But because I'd never seen anything like that, I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. The idea that, these people just got together and started selling their old shit. When I started seeing, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis games, I was like, whoa, it's amazing. And so now, when I moved up to Virginia and I went to something like MagFest, which is, a 10,000, 20,000 square foot, convention center in a hotel that has a 24-hour arcade and hundreds of vendors, it's crazy to see from that scale to what things are now. Yeah. That sort of evolution and how it just seems, it's crazy that it just seems to get bigger. It doesn't seem to contract at all. Every time I go to one of these big conventions, there's just more arcade games, there's more people, there's more space, there's more vendors. It's it's just an experience. I would recommend if people haven't gone to them, go to one, because even if you don't spend any money, that's the trap. I think some people go focused on what am I going to get, what am I going to buy, because you have access to all these things that you might not normally see. Yeah. But the more interesting part, I think, is playing all these arcade games, playing all these pinball games. Sometimes indie developers go and show off stuff, Yeah. And getting hands-on with those sorts of things. I think that's the closest you're going to get to pure arcades at this point, is these giant rooms that they fill with machines.
Yeah, but, that's so true, man. Yep.
Yeah, we're starting to get that kind of thing over in Europe. Different countries do different things. I got exposed to swap meets when I was a kid through my dad. And my dad, through his job, would go to the US, just to go to swap meets, because the scale that they were at compared to Europe was nothing. So when you guys are saying that they're big, you can't understand for a Europeaner how big you think small is. Because like, especially retro gaming in the US is so big, and it's like, you know, even the stuff we see on Instagram, just people go to a garage and they pick up a N64 and 10 games, and I paid like $40 for this. It's like, that just doesn't happen over here. You don't just kind of, it's not games lying in the street and all that sort of stuff that people seem to claim, like, oh, look at this CRT like I picked up from the side of the street. It's like, no, you didn't.
Oh, yeah.
No, you didn't. But maybe in America you do. Maybe you do. But yeah,
it doesn't happen by me, man.
I was gonna say also, correct me if I'm wrong, Geoff, because I could just be completely ignorant, but I remember in the UK, don't they have, what do they call it, boot sales? Is that what they call them, where people just sell stuff out of the trunk of their car, pretty much?
Yeah, so it's basically on like a school field or in a park. They're called car boot sales.
That's right.
So
that's. I mean, I find that concept so amazing. Like, just don't set up a table, don't pay for, like, just roll up with your car, back it up, pop the trunk, and let me like root around in there for
I mean, what you have to do is you have to pay for a spot, and then you have a spot. You'll like bring your own table and you put the stuff up. I mean, when you think about it, do you really want a load of strangers to come to your house and buy stuff from it? It's like, you don't want them saying like, look at the stuff I'm willing to sell, imagine the shit I've got behind my door.
Yeah, for real.
But whereas we're like, no. You can only see what I want to sell. The rest of it is up to your imagination, you know?
Oh my God. You should come to, I don't know if they do them in the UK or Holland as well, but in America they have estate sales, which is basically like, we're not selling this house, but we want to get rid of all the shit that's inside of it so we can eventually sell it. So, like, they'll actually let you come in the house and walk around and, like, pick stuff up from, like, the shelves and stuff to be like, oh, this looks cool.
It's basically IKEA. It's like, this is my IKEA.
Oh, yeah.
You know, buy what you want. Yeah. That's okay. No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing. It's really weird, though, because when there's, like, you're in this house with like 20 other people, it's like, I gotta go up the stairs, you're coming down the stairs, so we're gonna like shimmy past each other. It's definitely like, if it's a small house, you'll get into some tight quarters sometimes.
But man, it's so true though, man. Like you're saying, like these events are just because the retro thing that we went to, Arnie, like that was in Long Island, you know?
Yeah.
And we got there. What time? We got there like around 9, 10? Was it about 10 a.m. Yeah. And that parking lot was full. Like it was packed. And we got there at the right time because we were able to go around, look at everything, dig through bins, just shop around or whatever. And by the time we left, though, it was a madhouse. And we left at like 2, I think, right? About 2. And they shut down at 5, and that place was crazy. Should we take a break right now? Take a break and come back, and we start getting into the nitty-gritty of what we've been playing?
Sounds good to me, man.
Let's take
a break.
All right, let's take a break, guys. All right, everybody, welcome back. So we're here just talking, catching up, and let's talk about what we've been playing. So Arnie, what you been up to, man? What you been playing?
Okay, so mine is relatively short. I feel like I say that on every one of these that we do, and then I end up talking for 45 minutes.
Spoiler, I'm assuming it's not a Switch game of any kind.
Actually, I did buy a Switch yesterday. I bought Zelda. I've been enjoying it quite. No, this is all. I'm lying.
Did you get it for like $5? Did you find it? Like somebody sold it to you?
Yes,
I was at the Target counter and I was like, "Listen, I know you got the Switch Lite for $300, but hear me out.
Can you price match this
would you
for the
do
price I
$250?
want it for? No, it was funny.
It was like, sir,
this
is store policy. You need to leave.
That just reminded me of something, though. Because I remember, like, I would go to Toys R Us, right?
Yeah.
And you just wipe your card, and it would say, would you like to partially pay for this? And I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to pay full price for this. Sure.
Yeah.
I wish there was an option. Here's $5. Thanks, guys.
See, I'm the guy, I'm like, I'll put down the $5 for the pre-order, but then I just like the game, please. I don't want to pay the rest of it at any point. That's why I would never do layaway on things, because that's a trap. I'd buy like a million things and then not be able to pay any of it off. But no, so what I've been playing, so mainly what I was playing last month was Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy. I was playing the Game Boy Advance port of it. Because I had set myself this quote-unquote challenge. It's not a real challenge, but I was like, I want to play through every Final Fantasy game. Or at least every mainline Final Fantasy game. Because it's a series that, like, for as much as I like RPGs, I've only beaten 15. And that's, I think, not right. I think that I should... I've played a bunch of them. Like, I've played 6, I've played 10, I've played 10-2, I've played 13, I've played 12... But I never finish them. Like, I never get far enough to actually beat the game. So I wanted to... It's a series that I think I need to show a little bit more attention to, because it's... I don't know, it's one that's always interested me, and I really don't have a good excuse as to why I haven't played them. It's not that I don't like them. Like, the ones that I've played, I've enjoyed. And so many of those games are, like, intrinsically tied to gaming, and, a lot of people's gaming memories, like some of their first gaming memories, some of their favorite gaming memories, and so I want to experience that myself now. I don't know how it's gonna go, considering that I'm not playing them when they came out, so maybe my opinions will be skewed. But so far, I mean, honestly, I was surprised. I thought Final Fantasy 1 was gonna be a bit of a slog. But I ended up really enjoying it. I'm on the last dungeon, and I haven't beaten it I've been there for like 3 weeks now, so my bad habits are starting to come back up to the surface again.
That's a dope challenge, though, man.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think I'm gonna start regretting it when I get to like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think are generally not that bad lengthwise. Yeah. I think if I'm remembering correctly, 4 is the one with the job system, right? Yeah, I believe I'm right. I think 4 is the one with the job system that might fuck me up, because that sort of micromanaging and like doing all that stuff.
I think 4 is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I think 5 is when you get into the job systems.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Because I
have 4 on the DS. I have the DS.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got Kane in that, right? The Dragoon.
That's right.
Yeah, no, because he doesn't. Yeah, that's his character set.
Yep. And then obviously when I get to the PlayStation 1 games, that's I think when the time commitment ramps up a bit.
Well, so I just played the Final Fantasy VII, the Switch version, where you can speed up time and you can auto limit your characters. I don't know if you're allowed to do that in this playthrough, but that would save you 50 to 60 hours.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big savings. I definitely
want to do that. This is the number one reason I have for buying a Switch right now.
Oh, you can get it on PS4, don't worry.
Ah, good. The streak continues.
Damn, Geoff, we almost had him, Geoff.
And then obviously, like, aside from that, it's been a lot of arcade gaming. Like, I have a really good barcade, like 20 minutes from me in Providence, called Free Play, and they have the barcade setup that I really enjoy, where it's every day except for Saturday, it's a $5 cover charge, and everything's on Free Play, so you can play anything you want. They have over 100 machines. It's amazing, and they've just gotten new machines. Like they just got Splatterhouse in, and cool. I got to play some of that. And that was really fun. I suck at that game really bad. But when it's on Free Play, I don't care.
Yeah, who cares?
But they got what was the other one I played? Dungeons & Dragons Shadows of Mystara. That was a really good game. And I beat House of the Dead, the original House of the Dead on it.
Oh, wow.
And I just want to say that if there's one thing that playing an arcade machine on Free Play really exemplifies or really like shows you, is how bullshit arcade machines are. Like, it really, like, you kind of don't see it when you're paying the money because you tend to just give up before the end. But when you're playing House of the Dead specifically for this, like, when you get to the last boss, the amount of times that you have to hit that continue button is ridiculous. Like, you do negative chip damage while he just, like, spams screen-filling attacks that there's no way you can possibly not get hit by. And so I must have died, like, 40 times. Like, no joke. I must have died somewhere in that range on that one guy.
Well, that's like, you know, like, that's like when, and then I just use this as an example, but like when the Dreamcast came out, right?
Yeah.
And then they had these great arcade ports, right? Like House of the Dead 2, Crazy Taxi, right? You're home and you're thinking you're really getting good at these games, right? And then what happens? Then you go to the arcade and then you're kind of like, oh yeah, I rocked this game out. I know all the shortcuts. I know everything. And then you realize, no, you don't. No, they ramped it up a little bit. They want them quarters.
Yep. You don't know. It's really so deflating. I remember I went to a different barcade in Boston with I actually met up with One Up Mushroom 88. I don't know if you guys know him on Instagram. Yeah. Really cool dude. We ended up going to this other barcade, but this one wasn't free play. You had to, like, you bought tokens from the bar and you bought them in, like, you gave them $5 and they gave you, like, a little bucket that had, like, tokens in it. And it was funny because I relived a moment from my childhood that I had talked about on this podcast before, but I'm sure you guys have had it. It's that moment when you're at an arcade and you're like, we're both about to die. We have one coin left. One of us has to run to the place you get tokens from, and you have to come back here with more tokens before the other person dies, because otherwise we're on the last boss and we're gonna not be able to see the end of this game. So, like, literally, we're down. I have one life, he has one life, we have one token on the thing. He dies. I have to I'm like, go, and he, like, hauls ass to the bar. I'm, like, trying not to die. I die. I have to sort of run out the clock. I'm like, all right, I'm going to let this continue clock get down to, like, 2 seconds, pop my coin in. He's still not back. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm like, I die once. I'm like, all right, I'm looking around. I'm like, this is bad. Die twice. I'm like, got one life left. This is not where I want to be right now. Still not back. I die. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Clock's counting down. 10. Where the fuck is he? 9. What the fuck is going on? 8. This sucks. 7. What is happening? 6. Oh my god. 5. I see him rounding the corner with his bucket of coins, hauling ass to the machine, and then he fucking throws it down. We get the coins in with like 3 seconds to go, and then we finish the game. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, I got to the bar and the bartender was talking to somebody else, and I'm just waving my arms, like, trying to get their attention. And they're like, oh, can I help you? And he's like, I need coins now.
Not even a drink. Like, yo, can I get a drink, please? No. Yeah, can I get some quarters for the video games now, please?
I think they were very concerned about us at one point, because, again, we died so many times. We were taking turns running back to the bar to be like, yeah, I need some more coins.
Was this one of, like, the equivalent of walking into, like, a strip club at night and coming out and the sun's out? Was this, were you guys in here? Like...
Pretty much. We, like, walked out. We were like, damn, was it this bright when we came in here? No, but it was so much fun. We beat Simpsons Arcade. We beat TMNT, the arcade game. We beat House of the Dead 2. And we beat a Jurassic Park shooter game.
Not bad. Not bad.
Were you guys, like, hogging up the machines, man?
Yeah, nah, we were killing it. We were owning that place.
Yo, that's so awesome, though.
No, it was great. Simpsons was such a throwback because I think I've said this on here before, where I used to be in a bowling league. I don't know if you guys have heard.
Oh wow, no, I didn't know that.
I have established this, that I was the coolest kid.
Oh, like, right, sure,
the coolest kid of all time. But no, I was in a bowling league when I was like 11 or 12, and the bowling alley had like an arcade in the back, and the Simpsons machine was like the big machine that was back there. So I used to play that machine all the time. Clearly, like, probably never got past the first stage on it, and so I think this might have been the first time I got to see the ending of it. So that was really exciting. Seeing the ending of an arcade machine is satisfying and sort of like, I don't know, it's weird because it's like, it doesn't, I can imagine if I had pumped a bunch of money into it, I would have felt really bad. But because it was like so much cheaper, I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it was finally going to be.
Yeah, man. It's funny because like I just just when I was growing up and going to the arcades or whatnot, like like the crowds would be around certain machines,
Yeah.
And if you didn't put your quarter on the screen to
That's
call
right.
next, that was it.
Yep.
You were gonna have to wait.
No,
and there was
man.
like there was just, anytime a new arcade, and I think we spoke about this on one of the chats, but anytime a new game came out, like it was always those Capcom games,
Yep.
Those
That was
Capcom.
the hype, man.
Yeah,
I remember because it's funny because when Paul would talk about it, he's like, yeah, everybody was crowding around Street Fighter 2 and King of Fighters, and I was like, yeah, everybody in my arcade was crowding around Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah,
like you could tell the eras that we were talking about.
Yeah, true. Right?
Yeah.
Jeff, I did want to ask you, like, what's the arcade scene like in Europe? Because I've never gotten a good gauge on it. Like, were arcades... was there a time when arcades were just, like, everywhere, and now they've regressed, kind of like in America? Or was it always, like, there's not a ton around?
Yeah, I think, definitely the 80s would have been a very different era, and I was really young in the 80s, but I do, like, through seeing on TV, we did have arcade parlors.
Okay.
But in the 90s, so when I was mostly a kid, all my arcade experience was either on holiday. We did like caravan holidays in the south of England, and there would be like a little leisure centre on the caravan site. And that would be full of all the Turtles, Simpsons, pinball machines, all that stuff. And that's where I mostly that's where I would be given maybe, so it would probably be 20p a credit. And my parents would probably give me maybe 60p maximum to spend, like in an evening, so I could barely reach the the joystick and what have you. So that's my like overriding memory of arcades. But like today, I know one of the guys on Instagram, Pablo0151. He was a new bar's open up in Liverpool. And I think that's free to play, one of those free to play type bars. There's one in Amsterdam I know of, so they're around. There's probably a few in Germany, to be fair. But I know, like, when I go to Italy, they're trying to pick that up again, because gaming is still big all over Europe, but I think arcades, they really did just fizzle out. So it's there. There's a slight real subculture, but it's nowhere near as like what you guys have it in the US.
Yeah, I mean, the barcade scene is, like, starting to blow up, I think, but it's one of those things where there has to be another thing, right? Like, you can't just have standalone arcades anymore. Like, even your Dave and Buster's, it's like you gotta have drinks, you gotta have food, you gotta have a reason to keep people around playing the arcade machines, not just the arcade machines. But you brought up another point that I haven't thought of in a while, was the fact that, like, I take it for granted now because I have my own money, so I'm like, I'll play as many fucking arcade games as I want. I don't care. You can't tell me what to do. But before, it was like, my mom was like, here's $2. And I was like, oh shit. I gotta decide, am I gonna play this machine that costs 4 tokens? Am I gonna play this other machine that costs 2 tokens? Because if I play the 4 token machine, I only get 2 plays, but maybe I'll last longer on that. But if you're doing like statistics in your mind, like, this is like high calculus for me. I was like, I've never been smarter at math than I am when I'm calculating like how many arcade machines I can play off of $2.
You turned into Rain Man.
Exactly. Yeah, you really do. It's like I see the numbers, I see the matrix flowing before me.
It's probably a sign of my mathematical abilities, but I'd always end up with 1 token left and go, right, well, it's gonna be whack-a-mole for me. I feel like I'm winning. I feel like I'm winning. But you win.
That was always the worst, is when I have 1 token. I remember growing up, like, even in high school, sometimes I'd like go in, whenever I was cleaning up my desk, or like sometimes when I was doing laundry or something, and you'd reach in the pocket of one of your old jeans and you're like, here's 1 token. 1 lonely token. Unplayed for all these years. And I'm just like, this is a failed memory.
An unfulfilled dream. Yeah.
Exactly. This is a memory of my past failures.
It was funny because they had there was right across the street from where I grew up. There was a pizzeria, and in the back they always had 3 arcade cabinets.
Oh, okay.
One of them I'll never forget was Outrun, Turbo Outrun, right?
Okay.
The second one was always the one they were always changing. It was either like a Final Fight or Simpsons, Turtles, something like that, right? And then the third machine was a SNK Neo Geo machine, right? Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, like, how like the Neo Geo, you could bring the cartridge, right? Right? Yep. It was like the cartridge, you plug it in and your memory. No one ever had that cartridge in my neighborhood, man. There was nobody in my neighborhood that had a Neo Geo. And if somebody did, they weren't going to have it for long. It was just,
God.
Because it's like, who had this thing?
Yeah.
But that's an amazing salesman. That the salesman who walked into that pizza parlor was like,
hell yeah.
It's only...
You want this machine, sir.
Yeah.
You know what the cool thing about this machine is? That the kids can come in and play their games they've been playing at home. Yeah. Not knowing that nobody coming in.
Nobody would ever do that. I do remember those Neo Geo, the red cabs were always fun, and I think I'd always see those at like businesses because those were the ones that you could put 3 games on this machine.
Yeah.
And I'd always somehow fuck it up and pick the wrong game. I was like, not smart.
It was always King of the Monsters, right?
It was always they always had Metal Slug on it, a Metal Slug on it.
And possibly the baseball, All-Star Baseball was All-Star.
Yeah, one of them was probably a sports game, and then maybe like a little puzzle game or a shooter was usually the other 2.
Exactly.
And somehow I'd be like, I'm gonna play Metal Slug, and then I'd be like, well, I guess I'm playing Puzzle Bobble.
that quarter didn't last long. Gotta go.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I've been playing for the most part is just doing that. I'm crossing my fingers that I can start playing something new soon-ish. I'm hoping I can maybe get Yakuza Kiwami 2 because I haven't played that one yet and I really want to play it.
Right.
So that's like next on the hit list, but I haven't played it yet.
Let's take a break and we'll come back, and Geoff, let's see what you've been up to. Alright guys, welcome back. So we're just having some good chat here. We're going down memory lane. Like without even realizing it.
These are the relaxed fit episodes, you got your nice stretchy pants on.
No, I was gonna say the stretchy pants.
Gotta have the stretchy pants, man.
Stretchy pants are so good. The older you get, the stretchier those pants get, man.
That's the title of this episode is Stretchy Pants.
Noted. That's it. So Geoff, man, I know you've been busy playing a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff you wanna talk about. So
here we go.
I'm gonna just walk away and you just go off.
Go off, King. Go off.
Right. Okay. So
it's a prepared speech.
I was gonna say Geoff is like unfolding a scroll right now. He's like...
So I've Bloodstained.
Oh, Bloodstained.
Yeah.
So
great game.
I want to put a very top line caveat on this to stop anyone going after me on social media or going after either of you two fine fellas. I'm talking about the Switch version of Bloodstained.
This is the Switch port of Bloodstained.
Okay.
Yep. So I have a nice little story to actually start with that I picked this up when I was in the Yukon visiting Paul.
Oh, nice.
So I was on my honeymoon in Alaska with my wife, but who was I with? That's who I was with. But we ended up driving down to Whitehorse, and it was a good route, and it was on a way of getting through to national parks, and Paul was around. But anyway, found Bloodstained, and it was, I think, a week after it got released. Went into the GameStop, they had it there, and I pretty much ignored a lot of the reviews. I've turned into somebody who I ignore reviews now. I let myself. I know what games I like. I know what genres I like, and I watch the announcement videos and the trailers to get a sense of something, if I like things or not. I'm also pretty good at ignoring stuff. So say like The Last of Us 2, I know I'm going to play it. I know I'm going to get it. Stop putting up videos and just give me the game. That's kind of that's where I am now. Like E3 doesn't bother me. Gamescom doesn't bother me. It's nice to see stuff get announced, but apart from that, so this game was what 4 or 5 years they were talking about it.
Yep.
And it kept getting really, they were showing footage and people were saying, this looks like shit. Okay, we're going to work on it. So that's what I knew, but I didn't realize just what an utter clusterfuck the Switch version was going to end up being. So
it really does seem, I'm sorry to cut you off, it kind of just seems like they did the Switch version as, I don't want to say an afterthought, but it was very obvious that was not the main console they had in mind when they designed the game, right? Like, I feel like they were like, this is a PS4 or Xbox One type of situation. And then we can put it on the Switch as well to not miss out on that chunk.
I mean, when you think that they... Koji started working on it, I think, in 2014. I think they started the Kickstarter. Yeah. So, like, the Switch nobody knew about it. I'm sure even Nintendo weren't talking to any other third-party developers about it at that time. It was still, like, it would have been real concept stage, idea stage from Nintendo. So you can't blame them on one hand, but on the other, it's like Castlevania, the series on the Game Boy Advance and the DS, it was clear that was the home and the best place for Metroidvania style Castlevanias. That was such a match made in heaven. The portability and the 16-bit style graphics with all the little extra nubbins and gubbins in it as well. So you would think like the Switch is that perfect home for a game that's not quite optimizing like current gen consoles in Xbox and PlayStation 4. So you would think, okay, this is a match made in heaven. But, like all good things, all it takes is for one thing to fuck it all up. And that one thing to fuck it all up, I wish I knew what it was, but it's clearly somebody didn't put enough thought into the port into the Switch.
Yeah, like it wasn't optimized.
Yeah, it really wasn't. I mean, so I showed it to Paul, so maybe we'd already had a couple of beers, and we plugged it into his... Because we were both like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, Paul, within 10 seconds, I've got to buy this. And then we were like, okay, it's Castlevania. We took it off, and then we played Cuphead, I think. So the first experience was, it looks good, tick, off we go. It wasn't until, the next day when I was back camping and I played it, and I was like, oh, okay, there's a bit of slowdown. Oh, okay, the textures take a little while to load. Okay, there's more slowdown. Oh, it will calm down once I put it into once I plugged in the AC. It's like, okay, that hasn't changed anything. It's using external power, but it still hasn't improved. And I kind of gave it a 2-week grace until I came back home where I could dock it.
Yeah.
And when you put that pile of shit onto a 4K TV, it's like I'm not an entitled gamer. I really am not. But I was insulted. I was like, you're insulting me as a gamer with this god-awful attempt. And I think what made it even worse, I'm going to go really full rant now, what made it even worse is that everyone online is going, oh my god, the best Castlevania ever, the best Metroidvania game ever. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like,
what were they referencing the Switch version, or they were just referencing just the game in general? Like they might have been on a PS4 or something.
That's the thing. So I contacted a couple of guys, and they said, "Oh yeah, but I'm playing the PS4 version."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, okay. I said, but are you experiencing jumps that are too floaty? Are you experiencing enemies that are getting stuck? Are you experiencing a few other things? They said, yeah, it's still there, but it looks great and it's smooth. So I'm like, oh, okay. So like the technical side of things, the Switch just doesn't keep up. But
I'm sorry, guys.
No, go for it.
And that's crazy because the if I'm not mistaken, the PS4 Xbox version came out like a week before, right? Before the Switch version.
Yeah,
So it wasn't like there was like this delay, and now like I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Geoff, but like did they acknowledge that there was an issue, right? Like they're gonna release a patch for it or something, but like that's in November.
Exactly,
something like that.
Oh, they still haven't patched it.
No, it's like so. They basically they're saying just wait 6 months and we'll get this game like somewhat patched. You know?
Yeah. Well, see, the interesting thing is, I feel like I could be completely misremembering this, but I'm pretty certain I'm not. Dennis Strilly Vanilli on IG had sort of the same reaction you did, Geoff, where he got the Switch version of it and he tried to play it and he was like, "This is bad."
Yeah. Yep.
Like I can't mess with this. Like this is not good. And it's funny to me. I don't know how these things work, so I don't want to like malign the developers or anybody who worked on this or anything like that. But I was curious about it because I hadn't heard the specifics of what was so bad about it. But it seems like something that like if you spent 10 minutes playing this game, you'd be like, oh. Yeah, like there's something visibly wrong with this. You know, It's not something that like you get to a certain part and it sort of fucks you over. It's more like, no, if you just sit with it for more than, 10, 15 minutes, you'll see what's wrong with it.
Right.
So I'm wondering, like, what kind of playtesting went into it.
Indeed,
maybe they just didn't want to delay it again for the Switch. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I have to assume they just thought, we can patch this out, like, it's not that bad. And then people were like, oh, it's that bad.
Yep. I mean, I played it all the way through to the end. I was like, what? I've paid full price for this. I'm just going to get through it. So because I really wanted to be able to get a full opinion, at least on if I look beyond the textures, if I look beyond the slowdown, if I look beyond some of the kind of the aesthetics, as a game mechanically, how does this game play? And that's where I felt like, okay, everyone is saying that this is the best one of the best Metroidvanias since Symphony of the Night, and I just don't know where that's coming from. You get
like you don't see it.
No, not at all. It's what you've got is, and I think because I'm English, maybe my ears are slightly more attuned to it. And there are lots of English people who probably love it, but first of all, the voice acting is I mean, Symphony of the Night, the original version, has excellent like B-movie voice acting.
Yes,
it doesn't.
It's charmingly bad.
Exactly. Whereas, and now I'm going to do my my attempt of someone who's not English doing an English accent. All right. So, hello, governor. How are you today? And I'm like going, what? Hello, Mrs. Sharp. I found this for you. I was like, oh my god, you can't be serious. Like, this is actually happening. I'm actually experiencing this in a world where you can get a voice actor to like jump on a mic and do the lines for you. You've got someone. Oh no. So yes.
My Lord.
I felt like I was on a Mary Poppins video just now. For a second.
Dick Van Dyke over here, mate. Dick Van Dyke. So there's that, and I think for me that's like, okay, you're always going to get bad voice acting in games that don't have these high budgets. Yeah. We're not talking about Naughty Dog here. We're not looking at CD Projekt Red, all these guys. But it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You can't be serious. I mean, I even had a problem with the Zelda voice from Breath of the Wild, and it's like an American actress doing an English accent. I'm just like, just get an English actress to do this, because I can hear when it's not right. I can pick up, like, if I did an American accent for long enough, well, if I got training on long enough, you'd still be able to hear that I'm not American.
Here's the thing: is I think part of that problem is that all the British actors are busy playing Americans in movies and TV shows, and so the only Americans have to do video game work now as English people.
We need our jobs back.
I know. Well, if you can tell Christian Bale to stop being Dick Cheney and be the Zelda guy, then I know, right? Yeah, we'll make that happen.
Okay, that's fair enough. So you got that. I found the enemy design completely uninspiring. They were very.
You didn't like the kitty cat?
No.
The big old kitty cat?
God. Not well.
It's like a JPEG of a cat.
Yeah, if
our budget's run out, guys. What do we do?
Yeah. So you have that going on. You've also got there's like a dual crafting system. So I don't mind crafting in games. I'm not like somebody who pours hours and hours into crafting, and I don't go. Yeah. I'm not keen to go away and grind to get certain items that have a 2% drop rate to maybe try and mix it with something else to see what the result is. Like that doesn't
to get like a 5% boost to your attack or something.
Yeah, exactly. So you had this crafting system with the shards that you pick up, which basically are like skills that you pick up from enemies. Some of them are passive, some of them are aggressive, some of them are like stat boosts and what have you. But then you've also got cooking, and I don't know how you guys are with cooking. But in a Metroidvania, I really don't care about picking up cheese and eggs. This is not why I'm playing a Metroidvania. I mean, so there's two good games that I think that do cooking well. Well, they do food well. I think Final Fantasy 15 did food really well.
I would agree, yeah.
And also Odin Sphere. Okay. So Odin Sphere had a really good way of like meals really helped you out, and they're trying to do the same thing here, but it's like I'm not looking to pick up an item for cooking that has a 2% drop rate, like but I know it's like it's there if you want it. I never used it and I still completed the game, but I did find like if you just spent less time worrying about cooking and more time getting the Switch port right, maybe you'd have a better game.
I wonder how much of it is because this was a kickstarted game that obviously got a ton of funding and was very hyped. I think, I can't speak for everybody, and I could just be talking out of my ass completely, but I wonder how much the specter of Mighty Number 9 loomed over this game, where after 4 or 5 years, like you said, people are like, is it going to come out? Like, is it going to happen again? And then when it came out, and it was, a decently good game, people were just like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because it wasn't garbage. Yep. And even, what was the thing that made me sad, too, about the Switch port was, what was the one they released before they finally got to Bloodstained? They had released an 8-bit one, I forget, Curse of the Moon, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And that one apparently people loved.
It's good.
And played great on the Switch, and it was like such a perfect throwback to like that era of Castlevania.
Yep.
That I wonder like if people were just like they did it once and now this one's out and it's still good, like it's there's problems, but I can definitely look over that because the game isn't like a tire fire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much of that is playing into it as well when people are like, this is the greatest Metroidvania since Symphony of the Night and stuff like that, which, I mean, that's a very big comment.
Yeah, but, I mean, even, Geoff, the way you're describing it, like, it's you just picking up on this without even seeing any of the other versions,
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of like, it wasn't like you were comparing the graphics, like maybe the washed out, right? Is that what it was? It like some of the colors?
Well, it wasn't
like you were comparing it to the PS4,
Yeah, I think it was just like the textures, when you get textures that load quite late, or just or like you can just see, okay, they've cut corners here, they've got rid of some of these textures.
Yeah, that's bad when they just like pop in like halfway through the screen.
Yeah, and like I saw a screenshot of the PS4 version and the character crystal clear, lots of detail. The Switch, when you put it up onto a big TV, it's just a blur. Yeah. It's a blur, and you're like, So it's like graphical comparisons. Absolutely, is I think you got to put them in their place. But as the core game itself, I do think there's that element of, like you're saying, Arnie. I think there's always an element of people who I've put money into this, so I'm gonna love it no matter what, because I've got to. Otherwise, I'm gonna cry every night.
Oh yeah, and you've waited this long for it, right? Yeah. Like you're like, I finally have it in my hands after all this time. You've had all these years of like anticipation and building up to seeing every single thing. And I'm not saying that automatically makes you like it, but I think you're in a certain mindset when you start playing the game.
Hey, this is like spending money and going to the movies.
Bringing it back around, baby.
Right back. The callback, in effect.
I mean, so obviously, like I completely get why people enjoyed it. It's still like I completed it. I enjoyed parts of it. It's still a decent Metroid at the end of the day. I mean, I went and played Symphony of the Night the other week, just to kind of refresh myself. Like, right, what makes Symphony of the Night so good? And I'm not going to go into that now because Symphony of the Night is a big old game to talk about. But it just reminded me, like,
unless we had 3 more hours.
Yeah. But it just reminded me, like, okay, Symphony of the Night is still miles ahead of this. Miles.
Yeah.
So even this many years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Here's my question, Geoff, because I think this is what I kind of want to know is obviously to you it's not as good as Symphony of the Night. I think a vast majority of people would probably agree with you. Does it have the spirit of Metroidvania? Like, is it like when you play it, does it feel at home in that vein, in that genre? Like, did they do a good job of sort of making it the way that Iga's other games felt?
Yeah, it hits the beats. It does what it puts. Okay. It puts items in places to make you go back. It does all the things well.
Okay.
But is it as good as Hollow Knight? No.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it like? And there's been quite a few other Metroidvanias that have come out in the last few years that are head and shoulders above this, because what they are is they're their own thing. They're their own world. Yeah. And this is just... I know people wanted a Castlevania-themed Metroidvania, but it's like, okay, this is clearly just a C movie interpretation of Castlevania. Like, you know, copying is a great form of flattery, but in this instance, I think it's just... to me, it was just played out ideas, played out characters. So, you know, like the same enemies you always see. There's Medusa, there's a big cat waving a paw around. You kind of think, okay, I've seen this. And maybe that's my age showing, but I'm like, people who love it are the ones who wanted that exact thing. Mm-hmm. For me... Yeah.
Yeah, what you were saying, I think, makes a lot of sense. When you see, like, these guys, and I mean, I think Iga's one, I think Inafune's is another one, but, like, I that's why I'm also curious about Shenmue 3. But I think when you're in this position where you're like, I want to make this game. Like, people know me for this game, and I want to make this game. But I can't make exactly this game. I can't use these characters. I can't use these, you know, names of things. I can't use these certain assets, things like that. Then I think when you start sort of building around that idea, like, you're like, this is the game I'm going to make. I'm going to make this kind of game. It's going to look like this. It's going to feel like this. It's going to sound like this. But I can't use the things that people really remember, so I have to sort of stitch together, you know, this set dressing that I think is kind of secondary in their minds at that point, because people just want the experience. But then if you're not the guy that's just all in on the experience, then you're like, well, you know, these characters aren't as interesting, the story isn't as captivating.
Yep.
I think it's a real hard place to be, you know, when you're like, I'm going to make Mega Man, but not Mega Man.
Yeah.
I'm going to make Castlevania, but not Castlevania. Like, I feel like that might be harder than just making an original thing from scratch.
Yeah, I think so.
Damn.
So yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I've been playing. Let's move away from Bloodstained. So I've also, like, this week I'm one of many collectors who've picked up Link's Awakening limited edition.
That came out?
Yeah, it was a silent release.
Hey-o.
Silent. Yeah. And I put my post up 1 week after everyone else, so, you know,
Which I felt bad, because on our chat I said, if I see one more Link's Awakening post, and then when I saw Geoff post it up, I was like, oh, my bad, Geoff, I was just joking.
I just imagine Geoff walking onto the stage that is Instagram, like, Link's Awakening, you heard about this? You seen this? You heard about this?
No, the way I pictured it after seeing the post was like I mentioned, if I see one more post, and then, like, you know that meme of Homer disappearing back into the bushes,
like going into the bushes.
It's Geoff like, oh yeah, bye guys, I'll see you later.
I will say, one of my favorite steelbooks that I've seen on the Switch so far, because they made it look like a little OG Game Boy playing Link's Awakening. I thought that was really cute.
It's nice.
That's cool. Yeah.
it's a nice little box if you're someone who likes limited editions. It's pretty nice. But yeah, it's Zelda. It's Link's Awakening. If you love the Game Boy game, you'll enjoy this one. It doesn't quite hold the same charm, but that's because I first played it when I was 9. So like it has a very special place in my heart, but you can never recreate the same experience. But yeah, they've done a really, really good job at basically, making a like-for-like experience. I think Link looking like Terrence and Philip is an interesting art direction with the black eyes. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to go on too long about this one because I think it's everyone's going to buy it, everyone's going to play it. I'm glad that Link's Awakening is getting a bit of a new audience because it would have been forgotten a bit. To me, it's the best Game Boy game ever. It's probably number 2 in my favorite Zelda game of all time. So like, I'm super happy that it's got some recognition.
Yeah. Yeah, this was one, like, Link's Awakening was always that game that people who really like people who were into Zelda, that was, like, the dark horse, like, oh, this is one of my top 3 Zelda games, and you're like, what? Yeah. Like, it was not one that you expected, but showed up every once in a while. I did hear that Nintendo made very few changes to this game, like, outside of, like, changing the graphical style. I've heard that it's pretty faithful to the original game, start to finish.
That's good. That's great.
It's the same text, the same dialogues, the same everything.
Yeah, which is good. And I will say, I do like the art style. I find it interesting how times have changed, because everybody always throws it back to, remember when they announced Wind Waker and people like lost their shit because it was cartoony and stuff? Yeah. And then it's like they reveal Link's Awakening and people are like crying in the aisles and they're like, it's beautiful. And I'm like, this is where we've come. But it is, I mean, it's adorable. I love it. I keep watching people do the fishing on it, and I'm like, this is precious. Like, this is great.
Yeah. That game, it looks amazing, and it's definitely one of those games that, like, I don't know if this is just me getting older or just smarter, but like, we're in September, and I'm just kind of like, I'll wait till Black Friday.
Yeah. But I don't know, it's just one of those experiences that I think Nintendo does so well, right? It's like, it's such a weird game. When you really break it down, even as part of the Legend of Zelda series, the game is so weird. Yeah. There's so many weird things in it, and it just does, but it's like so enjoyable and like pleasant to play, and people like sort of look past all that. It's like, it's so charming, and it's like, no, but do you know what you're doing? Like, this is weird. Like, you're collecting instruments to wake up a giant fish that you're all in the dream of, and like, you might end the existence of this entire island. Like, this is some deep Final Fantasy ass questions that we're asking ourselves right now.
Clearly, it's based on a true story. Clearly. But like, honestly, like when I do finally get a chance to play it, full disclosure, I never played the original.
Really?
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I didn't have a Game Boy when I was a kid. Of course, though, I grow up and then I'm like, let me get a Game Boy. Because that's what we do. But
were you a Game Gear kid? Did you not have a?
I just wasn't a portable guy.
Gotcha.
The first portable system I got was the Game Boy Advance.
Okay, but I was secretly hoping you were an Atari Lynx kid. That was my jam.
No, but I never like growing up. I was never into the portable stuff. My thing was always just the consoles.
Okay.
I was so dismissive of portable stuff until I got older, and I was just like, especially getting on the Instagram, and I was like, yo, there's a whole world out there. To get these, But like, just for the sake of like Link's Awakening, is kind of, I'm glad I never played it, so I can just kind of go into this like
you can experience it. Now you can experience it for real. I'm sorry I spoilered it.
True, right?
Spoiler alert. No, that's interesting, because I was sort of the same way. Like, I played Link's Awakening when I was older. Like, I didn't play it when it originally came out, and I never finished it. So I am looking forward to this, so I can finally play the whole thing.
Yeah. And I think you'll complete it in easily less than 10 hours. It doesn't do a time count for you, so I'm just thinking right now. But I kind of know the beats, so I'm kind of getting through it quite quickly. It's not the longest. The first 5 or 6 dungeons are pretty straightforward. I think you'll get through it quite quickly.
Good.
And but Arnie, sorry. Geoff went on such a rant, I thought Ozzy was on the episode. Arnie, the thing is, you're gonna need a Switch to play this, though. Just want to put that out there.
Then that seems. I don't think I'm gonna be able to play it. Then this seems like too much effort on my part.
Jeff, this intervention of getting Arnie to buy a Switch is going terribly wrong. We're failing so miserably
I know.
right now.
Listen,
but I've got
once we set up the GoFundMe, it'll be.
I was just thinking we have to crowdfund this bad boy.
I will buy a Switch.
Does the Switch Lite not appeal?
You know what? It kind of does, because the idea of I feel like if I owned a Switch, I'd probably just play it portable. But I don't know. I don't know. I think I have to really think to myself, like, do I care? How much do I care about the dockability and the being able to interchange the Joy-Cons?
Yeah.
One of the things I was saying about the Switch Lite that I thought was the most Nintendo thing ever was the fact that pretty much since the Switch has come out, one of the things that people have been begging for is a Joy-Con with a D-pad, an official Nintendo Joy-Con with a D-pad on it. And they never made one. And then they released the Switch Lite, and it has a motherfucking D-pad on it, and you can't remove the Joy-Cons. And I was just like, there's no way they're not doing this on purpose. Like, there's absolutely no way.
They take all that feedback. They're like, that's a great idea. We should definitely do that. But we're gonna
attach it to
but we're gonna make you spend $200 for it.
Is the Switch Lite the same price as a regular Switch, or is it cheaper?
Oh, it's cheaper. It's cheaper.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yeah.
Good.
I think it's like right, Jeff. It's like $100 cheaper, right? It's like $200.
Yeah, I saw. I think over here it's like 80 euro cheaper, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's got a smaller screen. Yeah, you can't detach it. I mean, I would say for like there's been a couple of games I've enjoyed being able to play on the big screen. Probably Breath of the Wild is the one that you'd really want to play on the big screen. I don't know if you played that already, Arnie, but
I have not. But that's one that I'd probably want to play on big screen. Now the problem is they've alluded to releasing, because they did release a new Switch with better battery life now.
Yep.
But they've also been alluding to making like a pro version of the Switch, like a enhanced version. So I don't know if I want to jump in the Switch train and then this comes out. I don't know. I think I might, honestly, this holiday season, I might just bite the bullet and get the regular Switch with the better battery life.
I would say, like, rather than waiting on a new system to come out for you to find another reason not to buy it, I would just say, just if you're a gamer in this generation, I think the Switch is a fundamental part of your arsenal.
Yeah. How about, okay, let's do this. Let's compromise. I will buy the Persona 5 Royal PS4 instead. That's the entirety of my compromise.
Okay, but if you do that, you have to sell your current PS4 so you can put that toward getting a Switch. Jeff, what do you think, Jeff?
I'm in awe. That's a great idea. And great idea.
He's on the ropes, Jeff. We almost got him. He's got his Amazon cart right now as we speak.
Oh my god! I'm like, you hear some clicking. It's me on eBay. Oh my god!
Oh dear.
But any other games to talk about, Jeff?
No, I've been playing Catherine recently, and I don't really want to go into that. That's a bit of a hot topic. But yeah, just I did a lot of Castlevania. After our Castlevania episode, I've actually been playing a lot of those, so that's been fun. And I also just brought over my Dreamcast after the Dreamcast episode, so I've now got my Dreamcast set up in my gaming area.
Yeah, this podcast is not going to be good for space in your house.
No chance. That's it. That's me.
Next week, join us for our Neo Geo episode.
Oh man.
Oh god.
That's the one thing I think. Paul Greasy Comics, formerly Emerald Coast. He's always like, "Bro, when you gonna get that? When you get that Neo Geo?" I'm like, "Nah, man, nah." I got the mini, and I'm like, I'm good. There's no way I'm going near that one.
That's as far as you go.
That's it, man.
Don't wade into those waters. That's poison. That's a poison well.
Just like with the there's certain consoles like the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. Like I'm gonna jump on that one because I'm never going to go and get a TurboGrafx at this point. So that's it, Jeff. So man, that's good, man. You gave us some good feedback on some of these games,
man.
It, man.
Yeah, good. No problem.
You're a real gamer.
Yeah, like
I am a gamer. Yep.
Wait, was that the American accent?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Oh Oh man! All right, man. On that note, let's take another break, and I guess yours truly will come back, and I'm going to talk about what I've been playing. So,
all right,
see you in a bit. All right, everybody, we're back, and we've been having a great time just talking about what we've been playing. Arnie still hasn't bought a Switch, but I think we got him on the ropes. Geoff and I have been doing a great job again.
What if that was like we came back and I was just like checking out of my Amazon?
You heard the basket going, ting,
cha-ching.
So, man, it's been great hearing what you guys have been playing. So, like, I guess let's talk about me now. This last segment.
Tell me what you've been playing,
me.
Anthony.
So, like, over the past few weeks, though, I've kind of, like, gone across the spectrum. So, a few weeks ago, I started playing some, and I love this game to death, man, Metroid Fusion.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I have, so I have it on my Game Boy Advance. I have the cartridge and everything. But remember that when the 3DS came out, and they had that ambassador program?
Yes. Were you one of those people that bought, like, an early 3DS?
I did. I bought it. No, it's funny because I bought it when they dropped the price. So I could get to the ambassador program real quick,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the games I have. So I threw on my 3DS the other day, and man, I love that game, man.
That game, I think that was the first Metroid game I've ever played.
Oh,
and
wow.
the caveat to this is I have not played through the entirety of Super Metroid, but Metroid Fusion is my favorite Metroid game that I've played.
I'm completely with you because that's actually the first Metroid game I played completely straight through.
Yeah.
Like I had the NES. I'm sorry, Arnie. I know.
I was just gonna say real quick that I've heard people give it shit because of the computer, and it's like a little bit more linear, and like you have to go here and do this, and like it's not as free roaming as Super Metroid is.
Right.
But I really like the atmosphere in that game. The like Samus X that's like chasing you around and shit. That was scary.
Yo, because that was like that and Metroid Zero Mission, right?
Yep.
Well, the two games on my Game Boy Advance that I remember just playing them straight through, just not stopping. As soon as I got them. But it's funny though because I played Metroid, the original Metroid, on the NES, right? Mm-hmm. A little bit, not too much. Yeah. I was kind of like, okay, whatever, Metroid. Didn't have the Super NES when it came out right away, so I never played Super Metroid like at that time.
Yeah.
So this was my like full-fledged introduction to Metroids. I was playing it straight through, nonstop, And it's hard after playing this one to even try to go back to play Super Metroid right now, because I don't know. This was like the perfect, like Geoff, like you said, like Castlevania on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect marriage. To me, this is same. This is how I feel about Metroid on a 2D Metroid game on a Nintendo system right there. Like just a perfect marriage because it had the 16-bit flair, but it was like the story to it was so good. I don't know, man. It was just having so much fun playing that game again.
It's super fun, and it's one that like is not hard to run through. There's only one boss I can think of that's a pain in the ass, and it's that gravity guy. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember.
That guy's a bitch. But aside from that, it's not like a super difficult game, and it has all the, like you're saying, like when we were talking about how you never owned a portable until the Game Boy Advance.
Right.
That was a thing. I owned a Game Boy Color first. That's how I played like Pokemon and stuff. But when I had my Game Boy Color, for some reason I was like, in my kid brain, I was like, oh yeah, this is like, portables are over here, and that's like the games that just aren't like fancy enough to be console games,
Yeah.
And then when the Game Boy Advance came out, I don't know what it was. I think it was just the fact that it was essentially just like a Super Nintendo that I could hold in my hands. I was like, portable games have arrived,
yeah.
motherfucker. Like,
right, yeah, that's
it's
what
real
it was.
now.
Yeah, because it was like, I mean, even to this day, you circle back around now to today, and it's like 16-bit games, 16-bit era just is so like relevant now.
Yeah.
Even then, we were like already knee deep in the 32-bit era, about to jump off to the PS2s and the Xboxes of the world, and still the 16-bit side-scrolling games were still like just the allure of those games. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Yeah. It's just so
much fun. It really just goes to show the timelessness of well done pixel work, like pixel artwork, pixel graphics. Like, if it's done right, if it looks good, it'll still look good 20, 30, 40 years from now. It's still so appealing. I mean, I feel, we're all sort of in that boat. Like, we're retro gamers, but I feel like even when I show people who don't, like, retro isn't their main bag, if I show them a good Super Nintendo, Super Famicom game, people recognize, like, oh, this is, like, nice to look at. Like, this is, I can play this, it's not as hard. For me, it's much easier to go back to, like, a Game Boy Advance game or a Super Nintendo game than it is to go back to, like, a PS1 game in a lot of cases, or an N64 game, or,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it just... Yeah, visually, like, it just holds up so much better for me.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, it's like my nostalgia, but the nostalgia in me just kicks in when I see 16-bit graphics, Like, you just get transported, like, you're like a kid again, and the colors and just the sprites. It's like, you don't get... I personally don't feel like that about any other generation like that.
Yeah. Well, and now, like, it's so funny because it's not funny, but it's just interesting to me to see, like, I've talked about this before, that it's like, when they were making the jump to 3D, the reason that I think it looks so harsh in contrast is because when you're talking late era 16-bit games, like, you're talking people who've worked with this technology now, like, they can do some crazy shit, They're, like, making such detailed sprites, such big sprites, too, in some cases, on these machines, that just, like, it's gorgeous.
Oh, man. So good, man. But, yeah, like, I've been playing that game, and I probably, after I'm done with that, I'm probably just going to, in the order of what they were released, I'm probably going to go back to Zero Mission,
I still haven't played Zero Mission. Zero Mission's one that I've always wanted to play, and I've never played it.
Yeah, like, you were talking about the Final Fantasy games and going through them. I think... I didn't even realize I was doing the same thing with Metroid until I just said this.
And Zero Mission is a remake of the first one, right?
Yeah, you know what? Back in the day, I wasn't sure if it was a remake of the first one or it was a prequel to the first one, but yeah, I think it's the remake of the first one for sure.
And then the 3DS
I'll probably
game.
Jump on Super Metroid after that.
And then the 3DS game was in a remake of Metroid 2.
Yes, but that one changed some stuff, right? They added like mechanics and
they had bits in here.
Quality of life stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I still that's still a game though. Yeah, that's another one. I have to track down. I didn't even buy it. I forgot all about it. Damn. And now they're not making no more 3DSs. That game's gonna be like $80.
Now you're just making me remember Metroid Prime 4 is like a thing that's supposed to happen at some point.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, that's quite the mystery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they were so transparent. I was like, they said, well, making Metroid 4 Prime, and everybody's like, yeah. And then they said, we're gonna restart doing it, and everybody's like,
they were like, we got to start this whole thing all over again. Which, I mean, good. I guess if they thought it was that bad, maybe they were like, all right.
But it's the same thing it's the same thing that's happened with the Final Fantasy VII remake, right? Like, Square gave it off to someone, they realized very soon, this isn't going to go very well. So let's put it back. It's great if they put it back. If it ends up being a really good game, then great. Make that cool. Make that cool early.
Listen, Square knows that game is going to make them $1 bajillion. They're like, we'll make sure it's good.
Yeah.
Oh man, Final Fantasy VII. I swear, I'm so over it right now. I'll have to see it. It's just like, because they've been talking about it so long, and Square sometimes, like, they just annoy me with the way they just operate. Like, they're
infuriating.
Yeah.
Well, get ready, because there's going to be like 17 parts, and you're going to be we're going to be dead, and they're still going to be releasing the end of this game.
That's the other craziness of it, man. That's the other craziness. But then, so I've been playing some Metroid. Then, I got roped in. Not that I got roped in. It was kind of something I wanted to do.
I was forced to. It was the worst decision.
But I definitely got partially guilted into playing some games with my kids. Right?
Okay.
Not that it was a bad thing. I wanted to play some games with them, right? Like Terrible Dad, right? But me and my son, we've been playing A Way Out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've seen people play that game. It looks super interesting.
You know what? It's like the perfect game, fun game. Especially, I guess for me, with playing with my son in co-op mode, we've just been having such a good time playing it in little bits and pieces, you know?
Yeah.
It's like one of those games like we'll play before bed, you know, that kind of thing. We'll jump on there for like a half hour, play it, and then we just continue it next time. But that game's a really fun. Exactly. But it's such a fun game. You guys played that at all?
No.
I've seen people play it, so I know. Like I watched a playthrough of it, and I really like. I mean, it's kind of like. What is that called? Prison Break or like a Shawshank Redemption type of situation?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, cool. It's cool because it kind of starts off, like it kind of starts off in the middle of the story, and then you're just retracing everything that's happened. You know,
that's right.
And then it finally catches up.
I will say, when I first heard about it, I was immediately turned off because I was like, a game that's sort of like. It doesn't. I don't think it forces you to play 2-player, but it's very clear that like you're supposed to play this 2-player.
Yeah.
And I was like, initially I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, like, you know. But then I saw somebody play it, and I was like, oh, this game would suck if you weren't playing it 2-player. Like, it's just designed that well with that in mind that I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine ever not playing this with somebody else. Like, it looks like too much fun.
Yeah, man. And you know, the crazy and it's funny because like how often do you nowadays play a split screen co-op game? You know, and they really nailed it with this. I mean, I know it's you know it's probably not the most perfect game. People probably pick this game apart, but like at the end of the day, it's a damn video game having fun. You know, it's co-op. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Bring back couch co-op, man. I've always said man. I need to be able to look into my enemy's eyes as I kill them on screen.
Right? Yeah,
so
just
I can yell at them and throw profanities at them.
Right? Give me just the original GoldenEye game right now. Just remade in that same fashion. You know, not even remade. Just give me the same graphics.
No, it was for me. It was always when we were playing the original Halo, and one of us would, depending on whose house it was, the other person would have to load their CRT into their parents' car with another big ass Xbox, and then be like, "All right, I'm gonna angle my TV this way so you can't see what I'm doing." And of course, we would all just get up and look and be, you know, morons about it.
Oh man,
it was just so much fun. Like. So much. I don't like. I've really fallen off of multiplayer because online just does not appeal to me. Like even if I can play with people I know, there's just something. Something's just missing from it.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way, man. I have all the online stuff going on, but it's just something's lost. You know.
Yeah.
But
like
I've got
a face to face.
Yeah, I've got a group of guys that I played Ghost Recon Wildlands with.
Oh,
okay. And I mean, definitely, like you're saying, and like it wasn't a perfect game. You could pick it apart, but with a group of mates, all with your mics on, it's a bit of fun. And we haven't played a co-op together since then, and that was over 2 years ago. And there's the new, was it Breakpoint? I think it's called.
Yes.
Like, I don't play shooters or whatever you want, FPS games. I don't like. Oh, not that I don't like it, but don't really care about Call of Duty much anymore or Modern Warfare. It's just kind of like, it's just not on my radar, those type of games anymore. But like this game, basically we created one chat group, and the first guy said, "We're all getting this, right?" And we're all like, "Yep." Even though I haven't played this type of game in 2 years, like, because it's fun. It's a laugh.
Yeah.
You know, and we've...
Yeah, but that's the exception, like you said, like... like I wouldn't go online and just play against anybody.
Yeah.
But like if you had a crew of friends like that, like because I'm with you, Geoff. One of the best memories I've had about playing online games was back on the original Xbox, playing Rainbow Six.
Oh,
and so, that was like the best, man. That was the best.
I'm gonna say a cursed word, but the last Just for context, the last big online experience I had with a core group of friends that I had a ton of fun with was the game that I try to speak very rarely. It was World of Warcraft. Those were many lost years, many lost hours on that game. But that was the last real good online experience I had. Because I think that's what it is, right? You have to have a group of friends that are all playing with you, that you can play with, that you get along with.
That's it, yeah.
Because otherwise, I've met some really nice strangers. I've met some really bad strangers. I just don't like rolling the dice anymore on people on the internet. I'm over it.
That's funny you talk about World of Warcraft, man.
Oh God!
Speaking of this is my experience with the game. It's not even me playing it. It's maybe like 18 years ago, about that time. I would go get my barber. I would go get a haircut. This was in the East Village, right? Mm-hmm. Get my haircut, and my barber would be playing World of Warcraft while he was cutting my hair.
Hell yeah!
Like, because I guess he'd be cutting my hair. He'd be like, "Yo, hold on a second, hold on."
Yo, I gotta get this raid real quick, though.
Yo, and anytime I went in there, bro, he had his laptop up and he was playing World of Warcraft. Some of the best haircuts I ever
had, too. No, man, it was like MMOs really, like, if it wasn't for the fact that I've never had a good computer, I think that really was what kept me off the MMO train, because I played off my laptop, and sometimes it was single-digit frame rates. Like, it was terrible. But I think it saved me from monthly subscriptions to so many online games. Oh, my God. I've always been a little sort of jealous that I missed the Dreamcast train, because, like, Phantasy Star Online looks so cool back in the day.
Yeah.
And now that they're coming out with the new one, this can't be my life now. I'm too old to be staying up till 3 a.m.
I didn't bring it up on the Dreamcast podcast, but I had a really, really shitty experience with Phantasy Star Online my first character. Basically, another user with hacking killed my character, killed him, like, literally in game. Another colleague killed the character and stole all my inventory.
Oh my God!
Damn.
So I had to start my character from scratch.
Oh, wow.
It was like they did something.
That's ruthless.
Yeah, it was. But then on another run, must have been playing with a good hacker, because I remember they dropped a gun for everyone, and you pick up this gun, and it was like a nerfed gun. But it was just like, it was free for all. It was bedlam.
Amazing.
But it was But it didn't deter me, because I'm like, this is so much fun, so much fun.
Oh yeah. Can I just say that your first story sounded like some kind of internet creepypasta that, like, I would tell somebody on the playground, like, yeah, you know, if you meet this guy on the game, he'll hack you, and then he'll kill you, and he'll steal all your inventory.
It's like a ghost story to tell at a retro convention.
Like how you can find Luigi in Mario 64 if you jump in front of the fountain or something.
Come around, guys. Let me tell you the story.
Oh my God.
Oh man, but yeah, man. I've been gaming a lot too. Then my son again guilted me. Well, the both of them surrounded me for this one, and we finally threw on Gears of War 5.
Oh, how was that?
How do I say this? Okay, so
that good, huh?
Well, here's the thing, right? You can't argue. No one can argue. The first 2 Gears of War games on the Xbox 360 were just amazing. They were just so much fun, right? Just crazy. The third one, not that I thought it sucked or anything, I just didn't get a chance to really play it too much. Judgment, I don't even know.
I've never played that.
Yeah, I haven't even sniffed it, you know? I have Gears of War 4, as we normally do. We buy games, and as we normally do, we don't play them, you know?
Correct.
So that's sitting there somewhere.
It's like a requirement of, like, the Instagram game person.
Exactly. Yo, so then I picked up Gears of War 5 because I was like, okay, so everybody was talking about Gears of War 5. Gears of War 5 comes out. I'm just like, okay, the hype is building for this. Maybe, you know, Xbox doesn't really have many exclusives, you know?
Yeah.
So I figured this gotta be money right here. This is good, right? So I actually have Game Pass, which is, if you have an Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, you need to get Game Pass. It's probably one of the best subscription services you're ever going to have. And this is a perfect example, is because the game comes out, it's anything that's Microsoft exclusive, bam, was available on Game Pass to play. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even have to go and buy the game, you know?
Yeah.
So I downloaded it. The kids went and got me. They're like, come on, let's play this. They had already played through the game already, so that here they are trying to, like, you know, geriatrically walk me through the freaking campaign, right? And we're doing the co-op campaign, And before I get into it, let me just tell you, it's weird when my kids are growing up and they're playing games better than me. It's so weird. It's cool and weird at the same time.
That means you raised them right.
No, yeah. I agree. I taught them well. But now they're trying to teach me, and they're like, come on, Dad, shoot the gun. Come on. No, pick that gun up, Daddy. No, Dad, pick that gun. And they're like, where are you shooting? Yo, they be getting into gunfights far ahead of me, and I'm over here like, I can find some stuff here. Let me walk around. Guys, you
turn off the game, just throw on Herzog's Y, and you're like, I'm going to show you now.
Guys, have you seen his great water effects?
Right, you're right.
I'm like, guys, slow down. Come on. Let's take it slow. Let's walk around. We're going to miss stuff. It's the worst, man. But I'm trying to get my bearings about the game, too, because it's been a while. And they changed up since the last time I played. They changed up controls and stuff,
Oh, gotcha.
So the graphics on the game, the story on the game, so good. So good, right? As we're playing the game, I'm having fun playing with them. But I can't help but feel like this is kind of the same Gears of War formula. Yeah. It's kind of like, you got these set pieces, you fight through them, and then you hear a dun-dun, and you know that, okay, I guess we killed everybody, right?
Yep.
Then you start walking around trying to find stuff,
Yep.
And then it's on to the next set piece. Just kind of, I don't know if I'm just getting too old. It's just, I need something a little bit more than that,
Yeah. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and so I think people get burnt out on these things, man. If they don't innovate, and it's hard, right? Because you sort of ride that fine line where you're like, we don't want to change it up too much, because if we mess something up, then there goes the whole thing, right?
Right, yeah.
But I feel like with these, like. And Gears of War isn't as bad, obviously, as like something like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, where they at some point it was like a yearly thing. But I feel like you just grind down your audience, like only the most devout of the devout are gonna keep plonking down this kind of money for the same experience over and over and over again. Like people just get burnt out on doing the same thing.
Yeah, and then don't get me wrong. Like I said before, I'm having a great time playing with these kids. It's so much fun. But and I think I feel like I need to play this by myself too. Yeah. Just because they're jerks. Like they just keep running up far ahead. They don't let me explore. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we just relax? They yelling at me for getting
suckers.
Yelling at me for like getting shot. Yelling at me for not reviving them. I'm just like, I told my girl this one time, and I was like, I miss the good old days when like kids would just tell their parents they hated them. Because this is worse. This is so much worse, man. They're like, you're on a podcast, Daddy? Why? How are you on a podcast? About video games? Are you serious? Not that they've said this, but I've played this thing in my head. Like, what do I say when they say this? Like, how do I hide my tears? When they're telling me this.
Listen, couch co-op, smack talk. That's some gamer stuff, man. That's true gamer
And it's funny, right? We would just talk about this. I'm like, I miss those days. Yeah, now I'm like, I don't know if I feel like that.
Well, I've got guys in my team who are like, in their mid-20s. When I said, I'm on a podcast, they're like, all right, okay. Yeah. Well, we got to play you at something then, just to see how good you are. I'm like, whoa. It doesn't mean I'm good.
I know. It just means I talk, really. Yeah.
But I've had a few throwdowns, and it's like, and I keep forgetting to take my Switch into work. I don't know why, but they're like, Mario Kart, we're gonna have a game, we're gonna have a race. I'm like, okay.
Shit. No, I like that. I want that idea where it's like, I'm on a podcast, so like, no, we need to go, and I'm like, I didn't say I was going to Evo. Like, I'm on a podcast. You need to calm down.
So yeah, man, but it's great finally getting to play an Xbox game. It's been a while, man. This generation, they just haven't made enough exclusives for me, And it's kind of my favorite console, but it's hard to justify it just because.
That is the thing, right? Like Xbox, at least on the hardware side, for me, I've always really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like, they build good hardware, Kinect not included. I mean, which also, it was good hardware. It was just, like, really weird, and they wanted it to be on all the time, and I was like, please don't. Like, stop. But the software is always sort of hit and miss. Like, they really, the 360 kind of hit it out of the park. Like, that was the one. Like I was solidly a 360 guy for most of that generation.
But one of the things I've noticed though is that between Sony and Microsoft, they don't know how to carry momentum into the next gen. They just don't, right? So this is my thinking is that I think Microsoft is going to dominate the next generation because they've set up these. They got developers in their bag now, and their online stuff like with the Game Pass and all that stuff. That's stuff that's really set up for the future.
Yeah.
And then I think Sony is just they've gotten a little too arrogant this generation. I feel.
You think so?
I think the biggest clue that to me that I felt like they got too arrogant was when they dropped that PS Classic. When I saw that thing, I was like, okay, this is a sign of things to come. They're feeling themselves right now.
They really are, man.
Yeah,
they're like blame them though. Like they've dominated.
They're like that dude. They're like They're like that person on Instagram that just puts on a filter. And then when you see them in person, they're like, wait, you don't look like this.
Nah, man, it's weird. I feel like the only real blemish on their record was the PS3 because of how expensive it was at launch and the struggles they had early on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, looking back on it, PS1 killed it. PS2 is like the best-selling console of all time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
PS4 is like a monster, just selling units upon units.
Yeah, but
I'd be feeling myself too, honestly.
Actually, now that you say that, I'm like, yeah.
As long as you're not feeling yourself while you're going, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you my.
That's exactly what I meant, Jeff. Right, you know me so well.
But and real quick, I know because we gotta start wrapping this bad boy up. But quick, I got the Genesis Mini last week, and that's another one I've been messing around with.
What was the first game you played on it?
You know what? And this is kind of your faults, guys, but Bloodlines.
Nice. So it wasn't Sonic.
No, it wasn't. I would never do that to you, Arnie. Not to your face.
Ozzy?
Not to your face. I'm just trying to keep the peace, man. But real quick though, like I don't want no need to get into too much detail, but honestly, man, from an interface point of view, and just the way they actually made the Genesis, like I'm talking like everything just seems to click and slide the way it did on the original.
Okay.
Kind of cool, but from an interface point of view, one of the probably like the best mini console.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Not saying that the Nintendo stuff was bad. Not at all.
No, because I love the Nintendo music.
Yeah. They started it. They nailed it. Right. But this took it to another level, and I know you guys will appreciate this part, is that if you change the language in the menu system, it changes the box art and everything in the.
I love that. I love that so much.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So just that's the only thing I wanted to mention because I knew you guys would get hyped on that part.
And I think I was gonna say I think you kind of touched on this, but the controller feels good, like when you play the games and stuff.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah. Well, like I ordered the 6-button controllers. Yeah. Right. But they're like officially licensed and everything. But everything it's just like the way Nintendo did their controllers. This thing feels legit. Feels like you're back in like 90, 91, So really cool stuff. I definitely recommend getting this stuff at like the Genesis Mini if you haven't already. Plus there's so many like rare games on that stuff that are so expensive to find that I think even that selling point alone to me was just like, man, if you don't have these games, you finally get a chance to play them,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's what it should have been. Like that's what they should all be.
Yeah.
The box art for me is brilliant because all the minis that we get in Europe, we have to look on this interface at the American box art. It's like, well, we didn't get this box art. We're like Final Fantasy, like say Final Fantasy VII on the PS Classic, we got the Japanese box art. Not. It's like that's what I want to see because that's what we got. So
I switched it over to the Japanese box art. I'm gonna check with the PAL stuff, Jeff.
Yeah. Have a look. Have a look.
I want to see how it looks. I'll screenshot and send it to you. You let me know if it matches up what you guys saw over there. But I just thought that's such a cool touch, man.
Yeah,
like, damn, that's
for real. I will say before we wrap it up, there is another thing. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Sega sold this thing. It was like a Tower of Power sort of thing. Where, like, you could get a Sega CD and like a 32X to put on it.
Yeah.
And somebody opened up the Sega CD and they had, I don't know if it's screen printed or what it is, but it's basically like when you open up the plastic casing, it's like a photo of the internals of a Sega CD, and then like a CD of Sonic CD in there.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
That's brilliant.
I thought
Genius,
that was so fucking funny.
I was just like, at least Sega has a sense of humor about this stuff.
Exactly.
You know, I wish they would have released that over here, though. I heard it was real limited edition, like super limited.
It's funny because it's limited edition, but I see about 20 people on Instagram have all got it. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm like, come on, man.
But was that a Japan exclusive? Is that what that was?
I think so.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they said they might release it more widespread, but I mean they should. You know,
if it makes
that's extra money.
It's extra money, yeah.
I just like that Sega celebrates even their failures.
Right?
They're like, yeah, you know, we did it. Like Nintendo's trying to bury the Virtual Boy in a ditch somewhere.
We'll see it now. Then that'd be like, well, that's a good idea. Let's release a Virtual Boy just to mock everybody.
Virtual Boy Classic, baby. Put the entire library on there.
Oh, man. So that's good, man. That's good stuff, man. It's been really fun talking, man. This has been a great episode, especially since it's the first one I've hosted.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Again, surprise everybody, you didn't see this coming. Bah! Polybits, blah!
Stone Cold Steve Austin music, Sting hits.
You hear that, Paul? Add that in.
It's just you coming out.
Oh, man. But yeah, once again, guys, we want to thank you all for listening, subscribing, leaving reviews, leaving stars. And Geoff, where can we find you, man?
Yeah, you can find me over on Instagram. Leave it there.
A man of secrecy and few words.
Few words.
What about you, Arnie?
You can find me on the Region Free Gamers page. That's at Region Free Gamers Podcast on Instagram, at Region Free Gamer on Twitter. We have a YouTube page. We have our website, regionfreegamers.com.
And you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Polybits _ at the end. And I guess that's it. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you had a good time. Hit us up on the Instagram page or on the website. Let us know what you've been playing.
Yeah, man.
Take care.
See you all next time.
Peace. Ah!